Dear students, today we are starting to consider the topic of culturology, about the science and the development of the science in history, in the philosophy of culture and in cultural studies. And we can say that today the world community is devoting even greater attention than previously to the problem of culture, to the problem of cultural changes in history as a fundamental form of human activity and acquaintance with the environment. And cultural survival has become a global problem with the role of such problems as globalization and modernization, and also the cultural aspect of society has become the most topical. And that is why the humanities and philosophical studies and the social sciences include culturology, which deals with the theoretical problems of culture and is extremely important. Today culturology is one of the fundamental social sciences, integrating various systems of human knowledge from such spheres as history, philosophy, anthropology, archaeology, and arts. And culturology creates a system of different scientific knowledge about culture, and culturology consists of different themes like culture as a system, dynamics of culture, typology of culture, and history of culture also. And culturology functions as a methodological basis for investigating the most common consequences of the development of culture as a creative process that preserves the values of humankind, and the development of culture in history. And the central issue of culturology is the formation and development of personality in the context of all aspects of social life. We can mention that culturology is a child of the 20th century, so it's modern science in comparison with philosophy, for example, or history. And culturology appeared as a result of a new approach to the world, to the humanity, to the history of humankind, due to the growing comprehension of the values of different cultures and nations and their interaction. And in the sphere of social sciences, culturology played a special role in the cultural and harmonic development of people, and has become an important part of social science, contributing to human knowledge. And in the sphere of cultural studies, there are such problems and there are such main questions as what is culture today, and what is in the store for it in future, and also such questions as what is the spiritual world of humans, and how do different processes of intellectual and moral development of an individual, of a person, and cultural communication between people take place. Also in the sphere of cultural studies, we can question what is the role of cultural knowledge in the education of a person. There is such problem in Russia that in the 2000s, 90% of the working population had high and secondary education, but there is still a contradiction between the received knowledge and educational and cultural levels. So according to sociologists, only 3% of the students of technical high schools and institutes take an interest in poetry, in art and cultures. So very few people in the technical professions are familiar with art or classical music or classical literature, and all these problems are the same in other countries, not only in Russia but also in America and in Europe. And we can say that a narrow specialization limits people's inner world and does not facilitate the development of creativity. So there is a specific role of culturology in social sciences, and now we can talk about the father of culturology, and he was an American anthropologist, Leslie White, and in the late 1940s, Leslie White attempted to introduce the term and the concept of culturology into Anglo-American scholarship. So this term is a contemporary notion, and Leslie White viewed culturology as a discipline with a larger field and intellectual capacity than sociology, for example, because culture itself is a broader concept than that of society. So he introduced the term culturology in social sciences, and also White proposed ontological concept of culture, and culturology itself studies artificial reality contrary to our natural world, and we should distinguish nature and culture. And before Leslie White, it was Immanuel Kant who also distinguished culture and nature, and he proposed the science of culture in the sphere of freedom. So he said that culture is the world of freedom in comparison with the world of nature. And for White, culture was a superorganic entity and could be explained only in terms of itself. So we need this science of culture, which can distinguish culture from other spheres, and which can analyze cultural development and other elements of culture. And it was composed of 3 levels. So according to Leslie White, culture was composed of 3 levels. It's the technological level, the social level, the level of the social organizational, and the ideological. Each level rested on the previous one, and although they all interacted with each other, ultimately the technological level was the determinant one, the fundamental one, what Leslie White calls the leading character of our play. So the technological level is considered by Leslie White as the basic one. And the most important factor in the theory of Leslie White is technology, as I mentioned before. So social systems and cultural systems are determined by technological systems. So the base of the development of culture is the development of our technologies. So now I would like to talk about the aim of culturology and its role in our society. Culturology is one of the most problematic human sciences due to its complexity and interdisciplinarity of its main subject, culture as a phenomenon, and culturology investigates the diversity of cultures and their modes of interaction and functions as a meta-discipline within the humanities. So the aim of this science is to encompass and link the variety of cultural phenomena studied separately by philosophy, history, archaeology, sociology, economics also, literary and art criticism. And we can say that culture embraces various kinds of cognitive and creative activity, including such spheres as politics, economics, science, the arts, philosophy, and religion. So here we can see the complexity which is connected with interdisciplinarity of culturology as a science. And our course, Culturology, provides general information about the essence and the scope of culturology, and we also investigate approaches in studying social reality, and it also touches upon the main problems of culturology. So the aim of this course in the humanities is to show students the various phenomena and tendencies of the spiritual life of a modern society, to teach students to perceive and appreciate the peculiarities of cultural development in new historical conditions, and we will investigate different approaches and different methodologies in culturology. Now I would like to draw your attention in the question about culturology in the system of social sciences. So we can see that culturology lays in the row with other sciences like archaeology, philosophy, anthropology, ethnography, and psychology also. Culturology is amongst such sciences as history, sociology, art. So there is a deep connection and interconnection between all these sciences in the structure of social sciences. So culturology plays a role as an element within the structure of the humanities and social sciences. And in Russia, I can say that between 1980 and 1990, culturology received official recognition in Russia and was legalized as a form of science and a subject of study for high education and high learning. So the term culturology has a great support in Russia, in Russian studies, but this term did not find support abroad in Europe and in America. And now I would like to say a few words about the connection between culturology and anthropology, because these sciences have the same subject, we can say, and the same sphere of investigating. But modern social anthropology denies ontology of cultural studies and refuses to consider culture as an objective phenomenon. So ontology is the study of being. The key feature of anthropology is its focus on essential models and the mechanisms of social existence of people and different societies, which show up in different types of cultures and nations and societies. And also we can say that anthropology as a science, it excludes culture from its subject fields or considers it as some condition, environment, presuming that a human being is a substance which generates on its own some natural phenomenon. So culture is not a fundamental problem in the sphere of anthropology. We can compare culturology with other sciences like biological anthropology, cultural anthropology, and archaeology. So biological anthropology it is the study of the biological side of human, including the evolution of humanity and the theory of the origin of man. Linguistic anthropology is the study of human communication, including its origins, history, and variation, and change, and different languages. And cultural anthropology is the study of living peoples and their cultures, including cultural variation and change. But cultural anthropology deals with the present cultures, this science does not describe culture as a fundamental phenomenon. And archaeology is the study of past human cultures through their material remains. So there are links, and also there are differences between culturology and other sciences like biological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, and archaeology. And also, of course, there is a deep connection between culturology and other social sciences as psychology and sociology. For example, in psychological jurisdiction, there is a special class of phenomena. These phenomena are the reactions of organisms to external incentives. Psychology deals with the deep basis of human behavior, like unconscious incentives and also conscious motives. And sociology is unable to distinguish cultural from social. For example, in the eyes of the sociologist, according to Leslie White, the father of the science culturology, culture becomes either an aspect or the product of the social process of interaction between people, between persons in a society. And now we are going to consider the basic research methods of culturology in comparison with other sciences. Methodology is the study of the methods involved in some field, endeavor, or in problem solving. And now we are investigating different methods of culturology. Method is a systematic codified series of steps taken to complete a certain task or a goal, to reach a certain objective. And what about the methods of culturology? There are also this series of methods in the science culturology, and one of the main methodological methods is the principle of consistency between the logical and the historical approaches to the studied problems of various ethnic groups and their cultures. So the logical method and the historical method are interconnected with each other, but the logical method must precede the historical because the researcher analyzes a culture and he compares it with others and finds similarities and differences. And then they use the historical method, which is focused on studying the process of its occurrence, considering the stages of evolution and the development of culture and the results achieved during the period of the most intensive development and the most intensive progress of culture in history.